Thank you so much, Brother Chris. My dear friends, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you, to ones who are present here in the sanctuary, and to those wonderful friends on cyberspace. I say again, a very, very heartfelt welcome. And I must ring the bell to convene. So now you are convened. You cannot move from your seats. So my dear friends, as is our tradition, we always honor the divine feminine, our ancestors, the first peoples. I don't see Janine here, so maybe we'll start with you, Brother George. I think you're doing divine feminine.
Excuse me, Jamal. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. First Sunday of the year. It's a delight to be here and to see all these smiling faces. So as the new year begins, we also are beginning with a new discernment for the year. I think most of you have seen the emails. And it's making a home for the mystic heart. And implicit in making a home is the idea that there's activity, there's things to be done, there's steps to be taken. And so as the weeks and months unfold, we're going to explore more about that, those things, those issues, those supports that we need in order to build that home for our mystic heart. And one of them is to show our appreciation, our gratitude. We do that through welcoming in our ancestors and recognizing this land of Indigenous peoples. But also we do it through the providing an offering to the divine feminine. And whenever I do this, I have to remind myself that the divine feminine is not something that I need to reach out for. It's something that I need to look into. And if I'm going to give an offering to the divine feminine is not in need of anything. She's not in want. So I think my best offering, the best offering I could give her is my undivided attention. And we do that through contemplation, we do that through meditation. So I want to read a very brief poem that I think summarizes the divine feminine. And then after that, I'd like to just take maybe a minute or two and just sit in silence and let those words sink in and give uninterrupted attention to the divine feminine. And this is a poem from, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but it's Ramprasad Sen. O wisdom goddess, your essence alone is present within every life, every event. Your living power flows freely as this universe. You are expressed fully, even by the smallest movement. Wherever I go, wherever I look, I perceive only you, my blissful mother, radiating as pure cosmic play. Earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness are simply your projected forms. There is nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother George. I don't see Sister Janine, but I'll call on my brother Chris, calling our ancestors and honoring First Peoples.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to all. May we all be blessed to see this new year and many more to come. I'd like to honor our ancestors and those who've gone before us with these words. I give praise to the universe. I give praise to Mother Earth. I give praise to all of nature and its beings. I give praise to all my guiding spirits. I give praise to our ancestors and to those who come after us. I give praise that all who came before me in this struggle. I give praise to my elders. I give praise to all those who've cared for me, protected me, guided me, and loved me. Be here with us today. Blessed be. And I would also like to honor our First Peoples. You may be aware that this land and land all around the Seattle area was held sacred and nurtured by the Coast Salish people, and particularly in Ballard and on this land in Seattle, the Duwamish were sacred stewards of this land. Many of the tribes, I've heard that over 500 tribes around the nation have been recognized. Somehow the Duwamish have slipped through the government's fingers. I'm not sure why that is. They do have a presence here in Seattle in a longhouse on Marginal Way, down near the harbor island that's there. And they also have a website, viralrentduwamish.org. It's worthy work to honor them. And I wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge one of our teachers, Siswinkle Laurel Boucher, who taught a prayer that I brought here before, and I hope to honor her and all the memory of our Native peoples with this. What I'd like to do, and if you all want to join me, folks at home also want to join, please place your hand on your heart, and there we can gather all that makes us alive and here in this moment, all of our joys, all of our sorrows, all of our breath, all that courses through us. I wish to offer it to the Creator today, and I will be lifting my hand up to the Creator and offering that, and hopefully the Creator would give me a gift and give us all some acknowledgement. And in offering that, there's a short word that we say, aho, and I wish to say that with you now. Take a deep breath. Oh, blessed be. Thank you.
So my dear friends, today is a very special day. It's annual members celebration. For me, it's a very historical day.
Put everybody else in the center for years. We're putting you in the center now. Can we just all hold up together? All hold hearts.
Show goes on, yes. You know, my friends, I've always shared in my classes, be present. The best way to honor is just to be authentic. So if I feel like crying, I'll cry. So I'm crying because it's the end of an era. Our beloved Karen is in hospice. It's not like it's the end of a chapter or new chapter. It's really the end of a book. It's a new book beginning. And you know, from the beginning, Karen has poured her heart and soul into the sanctuary. She has been the heart and soul of the sanctuary. She has been our visionary, a wonderful servant of service. If only you knew her. Every time I've come here, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, she's always working. It's like she's in a celestial marriage with this sanctuary. So, without exaggeration, she has been the central pillar, as I've said in my email to you, and the foundation of our sanctuary for many, many decades, ever since we started here. I've known Karen for 32 years. As I always jokingly say, since my hair was black, it really was black at that time. She has been my closest friend and probably one of my most precious spiritual companion. I want to tell you that this place we are in here, which we got for free ever since 1998, Karen found this place. And she did a lot of wonderful things which entailed, you know, our community. It was at that time called Circle of Love, to come here and do programs. Anyway, long story short, this place, as you know, was given to us for free. And of course, we thank God. But we also want to thank Karen. So very briefly, when I met Karen 32 years ago, we talked very excitedly about building community. Why? Because by building authentic community, that's the best way to help one another to evolve into the fullness of our being and to be able to cooperate, collaborate, and share in projects of service to God's creation. I mean, we had wonderful talks and all these wonderful insights. We talk about interfaith is not about conversion, it is about completion. It came from our conversations. All the religions, they lead to the same place, which subsequently Ted Falcon said, let's call it, all religious paths, they lead to a shared universal. Karen was the one who really, in 1992, was talking about what today we call spiritual but not religious. And she was saying that's going to become very big. And it really it's the largest spiritual movement. Bees collecting nectar from different flowers. We talked about really being open-hearted, open-minded, inclusive. Atheists, agnostics, pagans, Wiccans, they simply call God by different name. Service, nature. So I don't want to go on. I just want to end by, I thought what would best summarize our mission, our values. And I thought one quote from Marianne Williamson, where she says that, and this we have applied to our community. Marianne Williamson, who was the presidential candidate and an advocate of Course in Miracles, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You are a child of God. You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. I think I'll take my glasses off, read my third eye, it's better. By the way, I want to tell you one more thing. I and Karen had an arrangement where she did most of the work, and I just showed up. And that really was a wonderful relationship. So I want to end with these words that Karen wrote as one of our mission statement in our website, which I think really summarizes very well our mission, our values. As a community, we endeavor to live in the openness of heart and compassionate understanding that embraces all life. As a spiritual organization, we're collectively organized to thrive through listening, sharing, and caring for one another. As individuals in awe of the divine, we support and respect one another's personal spiritual path and spiritual practices. So before I give the mic to Sally Jo, I think, George, you said we make a change, but let's for a few moments put Karen Lindquist in the middle of this circle, and whatever your belief system is, with increased necessity, send her light and love. Thank you. Sergio, George suggested we do the wealth sharing before we go on. So, why don't you mention about the wealth, sharing our wealth?
Okay, thank you, Jamal. And I want to mention just a little appendage to what Jamal said. If everybody in the world could show up the way Jamal shows up, I think this would be a better place. Think on that one. Thank you, Jamal, for showing up and guiding us through this difficult time. We do share our wealth at every service, and our wealth has so many different formats, which we'll go into in a minute. But we do have the format of that stuff we call money. And that's part of what my job is, to make sure the money gets paid to the right people so that the lights stay on and the heat comes on and all the property taxes are paid and all that good stuff. So we're going to pass around our plates. And I know many of you give monthly, you give online, you give with checks, you give through the website. Our donate button is working and active. And I'm going to sneak in a little thing here. We have ended the year with having earned more money than we spent, and that's huge. So give it we have ended the year in the black, which is a good thing, and you'll hear more about that in the brief treasurer's report I give at the annual meeting. But because of that, I'm very happy to say that we are very, very grateful for everyone who has given throughout the year, all the money that has flowed through this place and left us some in the bank, which we're very grateful for, so we can start the new year on a really solid footing. And the thing is, it has to keep coming. I can't say that we're all finished, because every month I go through and pay those bills, and we have those things come up that need to be fixed in this beautiful historic building. So thank you again for doing that. And if I could, I'd like to offer a prayer. Often after the offering, I offer an Islamic prayer from the Quran, and I'm feeling inspired to do that in relation to our dear Karen, who, besides giving money, as we all know, and as Jamal commented, gave all of her time. And this is from the Quran, verse 50. I'm just going to say it in English for you, rendered in English by Camille Helminski. In the name of God, the infinitely compassionate and most merciful. Paradise will be brought near to the God conscious. No longer will it be distant. This is what has been promised. This is what was promised for you. To everyone who would turn to God and keep God always in remembrance. Those who stood in awe of the most compassionate, though unseen, and who brought a heart turned in devotion to God. Enter here in peace. Today is the day of eternal life, and there shall be for them there all that they might wish, and yet more, in our presence. Amen. So I would like to move into the part of our service which we call Reflections on the Past Year, the year 2023. And as we contemplated this in our ministers and officers meeting, we came up with so many things we're grateful for in this past year. So many things that our ministers, our officers, and I know that our congregants have been offered and have been given out of the kindness of people's hearts and the garden of people's minds to offer to the community for us to share in. And I'm going to mention a few of those, and I'm sure I won't mention them all because I'd keep you here till, well, you wouldn't be able to stay here all that time. Anyway, we want to begin. I'd like to go through a partial list of that and take it in as you listen to it, and maybe some of it you've been involved in, maybe some you haven't, but it's all been going on in this building and under the auspices of these people who you see and those who you do not see, who are maybe not here today, but they're still very deeply involved. One of them is Pony Ellingson, who has been working with Zach Brown on ongoing efforts to prevent a recurrence of the basement flooding that has happened several years in the past. And this has been a very crucial part of our work this year because it's our historic building that we're always talking about, and it was in danger for a couple of years of flooding. And Pony and Zach and his team, their team of people, have been working very hard on that. And Zach, if you can just give us a sentence or two about where we are right now with that work and the grant that was submitted and so on.
I'll give more detail in the meeting after the services. But essentially where we are right now is there's a plan. It's kind of a two-phase plan to minimize and mitigate some basically groundwater issues that can cause flooding. We had submitted a grant to For Culture, which is a great organization. It's given us money over multiple projects in years past. Unfortunately, this year, that didn't occur. Reason being, they had $850,000 worth of grant requests and only $350,000 worth of money. So we will kind of need to do some talking about next steps, and there are definitely some pathways forward. It just maybe not as quick as we had hoped, but we'll continue on.
But we do have Plan B, as always, that Zach and Pony are putting into place for us. We will take care of that, I truly believe. We've also had establishment of several new cooperation circles or cooperative circles, which are groups of people who work together to provide what the community might need. We have Joey Klein, who has worked on a landscaping circle, which she herself has been in charge of improving the landscaping around the building, all around the building in incredible ways. Take a walk around the building sometime and see what's going on there in the landscaping. It's been very, very beautiful. And Janine Keefe and Rich Ater have been working on the First Aid Committee, who are making sure that when people are in the building and meeting here, that they have what they need to remain healthy in any case of emergency. We have Julie Randazzo and myself working on the use of the facility usage. People who come in, and there are many, you'll hear, from outside, maybe from outside of our Sunday service, and use this building every day, every evening, oftentimes on the weekends, and gather. And people have to organize that. So Julie and I are working on that. And of course, Karen was the main driver behind that for so many, many years. But in recent months, Julie and I have taken that over. We have Peace Camp, which meets here for a month in the summer, and I'd like Gretchen to just say a few words about how that's going and what might be coming up with that.
Thank you. We have a peace camper right here. Yay! Peace Camp is gearing up. It's great because we have 4 what we call Peace Camp counselor moms, and it used to just be me as the counselor mom, but I'm retiring, so I have 4 teachers from McDonald International School, well, 3 teachers and 1 parent who have stepped forward, and they volunteer their time to be the Peace Camp counselor moms. And one of them has taken over doing all the registration, and she's basically taking on my role, which I'm really grateful for, so Peace Camp can continue and the next generation can, it has the foundation, but, every generation paints the walls a little bit differently. So I'm really excited for this next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. And Gretchen started Peace Camp 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. This is the 11th year, so we're very, very proud and pleased with that. We also had we restarted our annual fundraising gala for the SAMC, the Suraya Attar Medical Center in Bangladesh, which has been a special project of ICS since before it existed, when it was the girls' school in Bangladesh that was started since before we had this building, when it was the Circle of Love, and I wasn't even here then. But Jamal knows, and Jamal and his family, his sister Isu and Karen, of course, all of these things, we're all under Karen's tutelage for many, many years. But SAMC goes back maybe the farthest of all of my list, because it started before we had a building here. And now we had to take time off during COVID, but we've come back to our annual fundraising gala. That happened at the Unity of Linwood this year, that the location was there because we needed a bigger place with a bigger kitchen. And we did have a very wonderful event, and many of you were there, and we thank you for your continued support of that. It was wonderful. And I know, Judy, I'm going to give you one sentence to say what you thought about it, because she was so exuberant with her praise of the event. Sorry.
Yes, attending the dinner, I told Sally Jo afterwards that that was the best fundraiser I had ever been to, and I'm even speaking of Project Ethiopia. It was the best because not only did they explain thoroughly what their mission was, but they showed they have succession plans. It's like Gretchen talking about the new moms for Peace Camp. They have a succession that Jamal and his generation are passing it to the next, and we heard from them and we saw from them their activity. It has a history that is so founded in family, with Isu making a decision she wanted to help these people. So, and they also have a local connection, namely Jamal's brother in Bangladesh. So it's not like it's all from afar. So if you want a perfect community-led organization, you've got it right there, and that's high praise for me.
Judy's been very involved in so many of our projects here, and we appreciate your praise, and we thank you for all of your support. Many people in this community, ministers and congregants, went to the Parliament of World Religions. Was that July or August? In August. And I know particularly that Lee and Anita, that was your honeymoon, right? That's pretty odd. This is a pretty strange community. Are you getting that feeling? Could you say a word or two about what happens there? Because I know I myself have never been at the Parliament, and probably some in the room have not.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lee, and this is Anita, my wife. We've been married about 5 months now. And we did take the Pacific Northern Railroad to Chicago for it, and that was really rocky and rolling. But we made it there, and we had fun. We stayed in a local hotel right next to where the Parliament was, but we still did a lot of walking. But it was wonderful every day to get up and just meet people and kind of talk and browse. And what I enjoyed especially was all these spiritual different organizations had booths there. And I'm used to booths and Marine Trade Association, boat shows and booths and things like they had at the Kingdom and we have here in Seattle. So I knew kind of the setup where they have the same rented tables and the blue covers around them, the skirts and everything. But everybody there had something to share. And it was what they wanted to believe in, who they are, what they're doing in life. And it was wonderful to go and talk to so many people. I talked to dozens and dozens of people from all over the world. And I did get COVID from it. But that was, because I didn't take care. I was just so excited to be there. But I ran into so many people. My favorite experience of the whole thing was in one of the booths, there's a place called, there was a booth by a group from Israel, and they really believed in Jesus. And there was this one gentleman who ran it, can't think of his name right now, but I got to know him, and he had a picture of an ancient wooden boat right there at his booth, and I said, "What's that picture?" And he said, "Well, the Sea of Galilee is so low in the water, low as far as water goes, that one rib of this boat was showing, and someone dug it up and found that the boat was about 2,000 years old, and he thinks Jesus may have been involved in it, Jesus the carpenter." And I've been interested in Jesus for a long time because I'm a boat carpenter, and I work with tools, I work with my hands, and I thought, what did Jesus do? And I think primarily he worked with a lot of Lebanese cedars and oaks, and he made oxen, things that hold the ox and animals and things like that. So it wasn't too sophisticated a carpenter. And through reading on the different emails that I get, and I'm on the email list of this group from Israel that are Jewish people, but yet they believe in Jesus, and that Jesus seems to be the focus of them. And I learned one thing, that Jesus' stepfather, Joseph, died when Jesus was 14. So he lost his mentor. He lost someone that was teaching him carpentry and stuff like that. So the gentleman I was talking to believes that that boat may have been, Jesus may have been involved with that boat, but I couldn't say. But I was interested in that boat because it was rebuilt with many different kinds of woods and things. So anyway, that was my great connection, talking with this group of people for a while. But there was also people from seminaries from back east, Loyola University, and many, many others. The Mormon Church was there. And I love the idea of diversity. So I went along day after day, shaking hands, talking to all kinds of people, a lot of people from Islamic culture, from India, and it was a lot of fun. And it was a highlight of my life. Thank you.
I just want to say a quick thing. The thing that always touches me at the Parliament, because this is my third one, is the thing that always touches me at the Parliament, because this is my third one, is a number of younger people that are doing some amazing things around the world, because I tend to go in areas where it's mostly us older people doing things or have done things. I was a child of the 60s. So it's always inspiring to see younger people doing very important things in the world.
All right, and these all are inspirations that come back to our community, and we benefit from them. So thank you so much for sharing. In early September, we had a treasure sale for the first time in about 4 years, and Chris and Lila were behind that 199% or 200%, making it happen. And I will tell you, as the treasurer of the Interfaith Community Sanctuary, that is what pulled us out of the red and into the black. And it took a few months to settle in, but that's what happened. And we made some good money. We made some good contacts in our neighborhood. We had many volunteers here helping. But without Chris and Lila, it would not have happened. And we're very grateful to them. I'm sorry Lila isn't here today. Chris, do you have anything to say about that? We'd love to hear.
Well, frankly, it really... I'm just part of this community, and I'm very proud and humbled to be part of it and recognized in this way. We took this banner from previous leaders. Reverend Deborah Lajmandir was a great organizer of this in the past, who passed away 5 years ago. And I'm just glad to be able to support this community and have it continue, and may it flourish and grow in many generations. Thank you.
Thank you. And it does show, one of the reasons we're going through this is it shows the diversity of the types of things that we consider to be spiritual practice in this community. And we are different from some churches in that way, not all, but we have a variety of activities and offerings that we feel enrich us as human beings and enrich the world around us. Another one are the music that goes on here. We have Isla Ross, who's been presenting chanting evenings on a regular basis. We have Indian music concerts that have occurred here, which have been incredibly just so beautiful, and professional musicians who ask us if they can come back because they love the reception they get when they play their musical instruments here. We have our own talent show of our own people who maybe we don't play in public for, down at the Seattle Center, but we do show our talent in many ways, and we upped the talent show this year after having had to scrap it for a few years. This was our year of coming back to the sanctuary, I would say. It was a year of beginning to come back, and we're still coming back. We have over 20 people here this morning. That's awesome. We were down to about 5 in the middle of COVID, and that was if we were lucky, and we were sitting far apart with masks on. And so my feeling is that this is the year of coming back. And to help us with that process has been the live streaming committee, and that's Rich and Chris and George and others who have been volunteers there. But Rich is really, and Zach, right in front of my eyes. They have made sure that it happens every single week. I don't think we've missed 1 week during COVID where we haven't missed one Sunday, and some of our special programs have also been live streamed. Can we give them a hand? They sit there in the back. Really, they sit there in the back and they keep people connected to us who would not otherwise be able to be. And we hear a lot of gratitude. I get the emails a lot of times of gratitude for how they are able to stay connected with this community, even though they have to be at home. That's right. In fact, Father Centurio, I think, has presented from Uganda over our live stream, has been the guest presenter. So we have, and we're not maybe at the top of the game on the technical expertise, but we've made it happen, and that's been thanks to Zach and Rich and Chris and the others who are behind it. Outreach is a special talent of our own Jamal Rahman, and he reaches out to members of religious communities and spiritual communities all over the city, state, country, and world, including Canada and, places all over the Middle East and Europe. He's been our outreach person, and Jamal, say a word or two about what that really means.
I think that really means that our thinking is moving actually from a community that has been, in a loving way, tribal. But we are realizing more and more as time passes that authentic community is based not so much on outer similarities, same religion, same color, same race, same culture, but on inner similarities. And it could be of any religion, any culture, any race, the kinship of spirit. And that is happening certainly in America. You go to schools, you ask somebody, who's your best friend? Oh, he's a Somali, or he's a Pakistani. And there was a poll not long ago about Muslims in America. Who is your best friend? And close to 50% said it's a non-Muslim. So this outreach is really making us move from a tribal society to a global community.
Thank you.
I just want to add, because Jamal won't say this about himself, but I also was at the Parliament, and I went to, I think, 2 of the sessions that he was in. And I could not believe how many people knew Jamal from all over the country. and they love Jamal. Oh, I love Jamal. You're so lucky to be part of that community. And he got the loudest, he was the only one of the presenters that got an applause. And later I told him, I said, you're the only one that got an applause. And he said, oh, no, they all did. And I said, no, they didn't. Only.
Thank you. See, this is how we get the scoop around here. We send out our spies and we learn everything. And by the way, when I was talking about music, I also wanted to mention the Sufi programs in the Turkish music school that took place under the tutelage of Timuçin, the famous Turkish musician who comes here regularly and spent a month here teaching Turkish music with the Mevlevi Order of America, and they meet regularly here as well, and they have given, and that was open to the public as well, and their zikrs and their musical evenings. I know there are others. I mean, there are other regular groups who meet in this space, and we're going to talk about those in the annual meeting too. But we have Course in Miracles, we have the Women's Sisiwis Medicine Circle run by Siswinkly, the person that Chris was quoting this morning. We have a Malani Rumi group. We have Jamal's classes. We have a meditation group that meets every Thursday, sitting in silence. We have the group of people who meet to study Meister Eckhart on, is it the first Saturday of every month at 3 o'clock. These things can be found on our website with more of our important information about them. And I think that, let me see if I missed anything major here. I do have a list. Our Friday prayers in the Islamic tradition is Friday afternoon at 1:30. Our devotional service to the Most Holy Sophia is the first Friday of every month, led by another person who is peripheral but outside, but also part of our community, who is a Gnostic priestess. And then, and so we have our guiding council meeting every first Sunday of every month, which is today. This is kind of covering for some of our announcements later, but I want to mention them because they are the offerings that keep us all connected to each other, to other members of the community, and to this building. And Karen has navigated all of this and made sure it's all on the website and that we all have notifications about it. So if you see a little bit of a hiatus of that, don't panic. We're working on getting someone else to help us with that website. But go back and look at the previous announcements. They haven't changed in the new year right now as far as when they meet. And if you have any questions about that, you can email me or email George, and we'll help you find out when something is meeting and when you can be part of that. I'm sure I've missed some things, but I also am looking at the time, and I've been given a time limit on this. I want to run through, and I just say, mention, because we won't have time to talk about each and every one of our guest speakers on the first Sunday of every month, starting next month, because it doesn't count January as our annual meeting, but this is the first Sunday of January. The first Sunday of every other month will be our guest speaker Sunday. In 2023, we had Greg Patinod, who is a Buddhist practitioner, present. In March, we had our own Rich Ater present. In April, we had Arzu Cohen. In May, we had our Project Ethiopia leadership, Awoke Agenitu and Workin Agenitu. That's another special project of the sanctuary that goes on in Ethiopia that Judy and I and many of us are involved in. In June, we had Timothy Kinsella and Richard Russell, two musicians who presented about sacred music and zikr. In July, myself, Michael Douglas, and Timothy Kinsella presented. In August, Peace Camp International and our main counselors from India and Uganda presented with Gretchen and myself on Peace Camp. In September, we had Judith Laxer here from the Gaia Temple, a women's Gaia Temple. In October, Greg Patinod came back as our Buddhist teacher. In November, Siswinkle Laura Boucher, who's one of our Native American teachers, came and presented. And in December, we had Imam Ann Holmes Redding, our Friday prayer leader, and the leader and originator and founder of our Friday prayers in the Islamic tradition. She presented in December. Some of these guest speakers are really from our own community, but they're guests in the sense that they don't usually present as part of the ministerial circle. We honor everybody, and we know that I believe that Rich Ater is going to be in charge of helping us find and welcome guest speakers in the coming year. So you'll hear more about that at our annual meeting. So I think that's all I have for my part. If I have left out something important about, who we're expressing gratitude, please raise your hand now so I can do it publicly with you and for you. Okay, Susan.
I'm taking Gretchen's lead because you're not going to say anything nice about yourself, so. Sally Joe puts in a couple hours every month. I don't know, squeezes it in, but spends hours, really hours every month tending to the financial health of this place. So collecting money, delivering money, depositing money, moving money around, accounting for money, re-accounting for money, rebuilding budget spreadsheets after they've crashed. It's just enormous, really, what Sally Jo's done. And she's done it for years. She has done it for years. And we would be hopeless without you.
All right. Okay. Well, you guys see, you guys see and hear so much from me. I'm always afraid you're getting tired of me. So, like right now, for example. So I'm gonna and it seems like I'm always the one. So I've been through upcoming gatherings already. See how I snuck that in? Yep. And we do have our annual meeting right after this meeting. I'm sorry that we don't have food. I mean, I could hardly sleep last night. We do? Hallelujah. I was afraid everybody would leave to go to lunch because we're so hungry after this. Okay, very good. We have some food. And I didn't organize it. Wow. I mean, I just feel I didn't even try, right, George? I said, I can't do that. Anyway, thank you all for stepping up, anyone who brought food. And there's some bread in the freezer we can warm up, too, from our potluck last Monday. Anyway, we would love to see you all there. We do our election of officers for the new year. We go over some things that are coming up. It is an important time, and it is a transition time, as Jamal was saying, and it is a sad time. And as you know, I'm very cognizant of that. And it's also a time when we can honor Karen best by carrying on in community during this time for her so she can feel at peace that we are not falling apart or giving up, and that she has basically trained us on how to work in community, how to have circular leadership, and how to be what we can be. She has given that to us, and now we have to carry it forward. She wants us to, and she expects us to. And so everything we do, and I told Jamal when I read his letter yesterday that this is setting us up for having a really successful day and the beginning of a really successful year because of the way he expressed our gratitude to Karen and everything she has done to make it possible for us to move forward and to move forward with even more intention in these very, very important times. So thank you all for being part of that. I really appreciate that. Now I'm going to turn it back to Jamal for a closing blessing. And by the way, George, what time are we going to sort of start the annual meeting pretty much right away after the service? The service is going to end pretty soon here, as far as I know, unless somebody has other things that I don't know about. But maybe it would be a good idea. The meeting will go a little longer than our average council meeting because we do have a pretty long order of business. Shall we plan to start maybe around 11:15 or? Okay, we can take a bathroom break and get some coffee and tea, take some food and bring it to the table, put the tables together, and we will kind of continue this service downstairs. It's kind of how we, the planners, the officers and ministers, kind of plan to have this kind of a nice flowing event where we start with the service and the gratitude and the acknowledgement of our spiritual groundwork that we present, and how closely related it is to all of our other practical matters that we deal with every day in this organization. And George is a member. George, I forgot to mention your circle, the Building and Grounds Circle, that makes sure the light bulbs are all changed when they blow out, and that the outside light goes on when you step up to the door, and that the toilet isn't running, and all those things that I know nothing about, and I call George, and he fixes it or gets somebody to fix it. The broken window down in the fellowship hall we found one morning. All of these things are part of George's work, and his, besides being president, he has been in charge of the kind of the regular building maintenance that goes above and beyond just regular day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month maintenance, and making sure that the building is functioning in a safe and proper, useful way. So those are the things that we talk about sometimes in our meeting, and they are part of our spiritual work. Do not have any doubt about that. This is all spiritual work, because the goal is to allow people to come and have their spiritual life affirmed, encouraged, loved, healed, whatever it is they need, they will get from our community, as long as we stay together in love, in peace, and in great compassion for each other. So Jamal, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Sally Jo. My friends, we're coming to a close, and before we say goodbye to our members who are on cyberspace, let's do a blessing. So this is the one we sometimes do. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide with you. May God's presence illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. So now we say goodbye to our cyberspace friends. And this last part here is anything